Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove and I'm back with this week's No Filter Q&A. This is the episode where I answer all questions related to diet, training, and supplementation that I received over the past 7 days from our in-house clients, online clients, as well as a few of our online followers. Remember, if you have any questions related to your diet plan, workout program, supplements you're taking, not taking, considering taking, please feel free to email me those questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com. Or you can also DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. All right, so let's get started with this week's No Filter Q&A with question number 1. Hi, Nick. Would it be more effective to train twice a week for 60 minutes each workout or 4 times a week for 30 minutes each workout? If you had to choose between the two, I would take the 30 minutes at 4 times a week. I'll tell you why. When you're in the gym, it's not the amount of time that you're physically in the gym that matters. It's what you're doing with that time that matters. So what I've noticed over the past 20 years of working with people, and then I'll include myself in this, is those usual first, if in a 60-minute workout, those 30 to 40 minute, the first 30 to 40 minutes of that workout are usually the most intense for most people. Then after that 40-minute mark, people's intensity starts to go down. And I include myself in this too. You're tired, your muscles are getting depleted, you're hungry, good chance you're a little bit dehydrated. You want to stop. We're humans. We get tired, right? So it's ridiculous to think that you can maintain a high level of intensity for 60 minutes straight, especially if you're really going all out in the gym. So in my opinion, if you had to choose between training for 30 minutes versus 60 minutes, I would take the 30 minutes at 4 times a week versus the 60 minutes at twice a week for that reason, because you can train a little bit more intensely for 30 minutes. Now, in those 30 minutes, you should be going all out. Your phone shouldn't make an appearance. Stay in your pocket if you're listening to music, but no cruising Instagram, no taking selfies, no checking your status or updating your status or checking your emails or any of that nonsense. It's training nonstop for 30 minutes. Now, that's not to say that you can't train intense for 60 minutes, but it's very hard to keep that high level of intensity for 60 minutes. Myself personally, I've talked about this before, my workouts aren't longer than 40 minutes. And when I'm in those 40 minutes, I go all out and I'm done. And it's almost a little bit more incentive for me to push myself harder because I know the workout's only 40 minutes. So I know after 40 minutes, I'm out of the gym. That's it. And I've noticed ever since I changed my workouts to doing 40 minutes, when I was younger, I used to overtrain all the time, but I got better results because I just would go all out. So that's what I would do. If you had to choose between the two, I would take the 30 minutes and just bust your ass in the gym. Get in, get out, get your protein in as soon as you're done your gym or within at least an hour period. Refuel the body, rest, recover, and go back and hit it again a few days later. But that's what I would do. 4 times 30-minute sessions versus 2 times 60-minute sessions. Nick, salmon is so expensive now. Can you recommend another protein source besides chicken that is a bit cheaper? Sure. There's a lot of protein sources that are cheaper than salmon. I know salmon is a little pricey right now. Salmon's always been pricey, but it's really pricey right now. So if you're looking to substitute it with another fatty protein, my recommendation would be to do something like trout. Trout's excellent. Actually, funny enough, from a micronutrient and macronutrient perspective, trout and salmon are pretty much the same. Salmon tastes a little bit better. But as far as like the omega-3, 6, 9 content, it's pretty much the same, guys. So there's not much difference at all there. And trout's a lot cheaper than salmon. So if you're looking to substitute it for a fatty protein source, my recommendation would be to do something like trout. You could do extra lean ground turkey. That's another excellent fatty protein source. If you're looking to do it for a lean protein source, it could be a turkey breast. If you're looking for an even leaner protein source, it could be an even cheaper protein source, can of tuna. Can of tuna packs like 25 grams of protein. And I mean, what is it, like $1.50? Back when I first started competing, that's what I used to live off of, was cans of tuna with mustard. And I think it was like 39 cents a can. So that's a really cheap way to get your protein. Obviously, it doesn't taste as good as salmon, but you're asking for cheaper alternatives. That would be one of them. And again, if you're going back to like another fatty protein source, extra lean ground beef, okay, that's a good fatty protein source. But again, you have to limit your red meat intake. As I tell all my clients, I usually advise my clients to keep red meat to no more than once a week. So that could be anything from, like I said, extra lean ground beef, flank steak, bison. Bison's an excellent source of protein. It's a little bit leaner in fat, but it's still what I would consider to be a fatty protein source. So yeah, there's tons of options out there. Swordfish comes to mind, but swordfish can be quite costly, but swordfish tastes really good. but it can be pretty pricey. So if you're on a budget, that's probably not your best option. Same thing with cod. Cod can be quite pricey, but cod's another excellent protein source. So there are cheaper options. And remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be a meat source. If you're a vegetarian, it could be beans, could be lentils. Some of those Yves products are pretty good. Some, not all. Even basic whey isolate protein powder, that works great as well. So you don't have to stick with fish per se if you're on a budget, because fish can be quite expensive, especially when you start getting to your redfish like salmon. As I said, though, trout is a great alternative. It is cheaper than salmon, and from a macronutrient and micronutrient perspective, it's about the same. So I'd check out trout, and if not, then I would switch over to the lean ground turkey, because those are two excellent sources of fatty protein. All right, next question. Nick, I tested positive for COVID a few days ago, but feel fine. Do you think it's okay to go to the gym and work out? Well, the problem is if you tested positive for COVID, and let's say you train in a commercial gym, you risk giving someone else COVID, right? And what if you're training next to someone who is immunocompromised or elderly and you give them to it, right? You get them really sick. I mean, you might feel fine, but you don't know how it's going to impact somebody else. And I know it's annoying because we've been living with COVID now for over 2 years, I think coming up to 3 years now. And by this point, everyone knows someone. I mean, I think my entire roster of clients have had COVID once, and some people have even had it twice. I have 2 people who've had it 3 times now. And it's annoying because every time you get it, you have to quarantine for 5 days, stay away from people. And yeah, I get it. I mean, I had it last year back in January. Fortunately for me, the gym was closed during that time. We had to shut down during restrictions. So it didn't really impact my business because I was still able to, train, work online and do the business there. But yeah, I mean, I had to quarantine. I couldn't go out. So you're doing it more of a favor towards other people than yourself. I think it's pretty selfish if you test positive for COVID and yet you go to a public gym and train. I think that's pretty reckless. Like, for example, I have clients that are getting COVID now, and they'll send me a message saying, Nick, just tested positive for COVID. I can't come in. I'm like, thank you for letting me know. And if they even if they tell me and it's not 24-hour notice, I don't charge them, because I'm like, you know what? They're putting other people before them. They might feel fine. Most of them do feel fine. Most of my clients, when they get COVID, they feel completely fine. No problems whatsoever. Not bedridden, maybe a little bit of fatigue, but nothing serious. That's not to negate the side effects of COVID, because it can be very serious for some people, which is why if you do test positive for it, it's a good idea not to go to a public place like a gym. Now, if you have your own private training facility, sure, why not? Go train if nobody's there. But at the same time, you should be doing that when maybe very early in the morning when there's nobody on the streets, or if you're driving there in your car and you're just going to and from your place, and great, do it. But for the average person who trains at a gym that's, has a lot of people in it, no, I wouldn't do that. I would just quarantine for your 5 days, wait until you test negative, and then get back to the gym. You're not going to lose any gains from taking 3 or 4 days off from the gym. Okay. If anything, your body's going to recover. It's going to feel rested. You'll come back and get better results. So if you do test positive for COVID, my recommendation, be a good, honest person, guys, and don't go to the gym and give it to somebody else. Just stay at home, quarantine, enjoy the time off, work on some other things. You work on your business or catch up with some reading, do something else, but don't go trying to spread it. No, not smart, reckless. Hi, Nick. I have a sharp pain in my lat whenever I perform bicep curls. Feels like a cramp more than anything else. Doesn't matter if I'm curling dumbbells, barbells, or cables. It's always there. Oddly enough, it doesn't bother me when I train back, though. Do you have any idea as to what's going on? It's really hard for me to diagnose the problem if I don't see you in person and don't see what bothers you and what doesn't. Now, you say curls bother you, but is it standing up curls? Are you doing lay down curls? I mean, it could be the plane of motion that you're in too. Are you on an incline bench doing your curls? So let's just say overall, anytime you curl anything, it bothers you. One thing I do notice a lot of people doing, and I don't know where this has come from, but I've even seen trainers tell their clients to do this, but when people are doing curls, they have this strange idea to push their arm in, as if that's going to get you a better contraction in your bicep. All you're doing when you push your arm in is you're pushing your lat in. If you look at the way most people stand, we stand with our arms hanging out to the sides. How often do you see someone standing like this? Rarely, right? Maybe if they're cold, they're shivering, but nobody stands like this. So why the hell, if you're doing a bicep curl, would you stick your arm in all of a sudden? All you're going to do is you're going to impinge your shoulder, compress your lat, and that could be what's causing your cramp in your lat if you're doing this. I don't know. I don't work with you, so I don't know what you're doing. One thing you could do though is take a video of the curls you're doing in the gym and send them to me, and I'll critique your form. But I'll tell you, I see a lot of people doing this, and I inherit some clients from trainers. And right away, I watch them, and they're like, as soon as I say, okay, I need to do a easy bar curl, get up, do their easy bar curl, and right away they put their elbows in. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Oh, my trainer told me to do this, or so and so does it. I'm like, why? I don't know. That's just the way it's been done. Question shit. Why is this being done this way? When you're doing a curl, there's absolutely no reason to stick your elbows in. And I see this time and time again, people sticking their elbows in whenever they do curls. There's no reason for it. Guys, when you do a curl, and ladies, sorry, when you do a curl, all you have to remember to do is keep your peak contraction, keep your elbows back. Okay, not elbow in, just elbow back. That's it. Because you're trying to stimulate the muscle fibers in the brachialis. So if you look at basic anatomy and physiology, there's no science between sticking your arms in. Now, I realize I'm going on a bit of a rant here. We don't even know if you're doing this, but that's my suggestion. If you're doing a curl and you start to feel your lat, check out where your arm is. Look in the mirror when you're doing this curl. Is your arm stuck in? Because I can tell you right now, when I'm doing this, all I can feel is my lat compressing, and I can feel a little bit of impingement in my shoulder. It's not very comfortable. And when I come up, yeah, I'm going to stimulate some bicep, but the thing is, I'm going to be really impinging my shoulder, and like I said, compressing my lat. So I'm not going to really be able to focus on that bicep the same as if I were just to relax that muscle and now isolate the brachialis. Okay, so I would look at that. Another thing you can do, send me videos. I have people that send me videos all the time on our online app, and I critique their form, and I say, I would do it like this, or I would add this in. And if you on my online app, I've got tons of videos of myself doing the exercise. So it could be an exercise that you're doing right now. So let me just check how Nick does this exercise. Oh, wait a second. That's not the way I'm doing it. Now, I'm not saying my way is the only way, but I'm saying that, my way does work for most people. I don't have anybody who's ever injured themselves doing exercises in the gym with me. So it just takes a little bit of learning your body and learning basic anatomy and physiology. But this goes for anyone who's doing curls. Now, I will say this one more time, guys. When you're doing curls, do not stick your arms in. I promise you, you're not going to get any benefit from sticking your arms in when you're doing a bicep curl. Nothing. All you're doing is compressing your lats, impinging your shoulders, and doing shit all for your brachialis. All right, next question. Hi, Nick. Who do you think makes the best clothes for working out in the gym? I think for women, the best clothes, from what I hear from my female clients, Lululemon. The only thing though that I have heard from my female clients with Lululemon is their products aren't as good as they used to be, which is pretty common with most brands. Like as the brand gets bigger, supply goes up, and the factories go out to China. I think when Lululemon first started here, their factories were in Canada. So the quality is not as good anymore, right? They have to still create that profit margin. So, but I'm not just isolating Lululemon here. I'm not just picking on them. There's a lot of products that do that. Adidas is known to do that. Nike's done that. God, even Under Armour's done that. So a lot of brands, I find as the brand becomes more popular, and I can say this myself because I wear Under Armour in the gym, but even I noticed that the Under Armour clothes that I have today are not as good as the ones that I used to have back in 2005, 6, 7. I noticed that the quality is not the same. Okay, so it's a problem. But I would say for women, Lululemon overall, and I would say for men, Under Armour. Under Armour works well. I've never liked Nike for training in the gym. I find it very hot, even with their last name polyester. I just don't like training with Nike. Maybe it's just me. Lululemon for myself has never worked because I'm a bigger guy. I don't think Lululemon's designed for big guys. Lululemon's designed for smaller guys. So if you're a guy who lifts weights, you're probably not a small guy. So Lululemon might be a little uncomfortable, but I've always found the best clothes to work out in for men, Under Armour, and the best clothes for women, Lululemon. But I mean, that's just from talking to people and my own personal preference. Everyone's got their own thing. I know some people that don't even care what they wear to the gym, and they'll just wear an old t-shirt, which again, I'm not a big fan of that, because I find if you wear like a cotton t-shirt, that gets really hot, it gets sweaty, and it gets smelly. That's another thing too. Gym clothes have a lifespan. I think more people need to know this. For me, like it's usually after about a year and a half, I throw my t-shirts out. Like there's only so many washes that you could do with a gym t-shirt, and then it's time to go, time to retire that t-shirt. So usually once a year, I change up all my gym clothes. I might buy the exact same gym clothes. I just change them up though. So I do think it's important to realize that all gym clothes have a lifespan, and that lifespan for most people, it should not be more than 2 years, in my opinion. Mine's about a year. And then they got to go because there's only so many washes and you can still smell that stench. It's there. They're gym clothes. So answer that question. Yeah, I would say for women, Lululemon, and for guys, Under Armour. Everyone's got different tastes, though. I mean, I think there's that Gymshark now. I see a lot of people wearing that. I think that's just a cheaper alternative from what I see. It's usually a lot of like young kids wearing that type brand right now. But yeah, I mean, you've got more expensive brands out there. But like I said, Under Armour seems to be best quality for men and Lululemon best quality for women. But unfortunately, neither of those quality is as good as it used to be back in the 2005, 6, 7. And I'm sure if you ask anyone who's been wearing those brands for as long, like for me, Under Armour, I've been wearing back since 2005, 6, they'll say the same thing. Because I have a lot of female clients that tell me Lululemon is not the same as it was back in the earlier days. So is what it is. Okay. Nick, how come you don't write down portions for the vegetables on your plan? I see grams and ounces for everything else except vegetables. Well, okay, so just to be clear, I don't just throw all vegetables on the plan. I use green vegetables because they're what we call fibrous carbohydrates. So what happens when your body takes in something that is high in fiber, it's actually burning that food more efficiently. Your metabolism is actually taking those carbohydrates and using them for good. So it's not that I don't count them, but I usually just tell people have as much as you want, because at the end of the day, you're not going to have anyone sit there and have like 5 cups of Brussels sprouts. It's not going to happen. But I say, yeah, grab a handful. You know, if you want 2 cups of spinach, go for it, because it's fiber. So I don't really count them as anything towards your plan. If anything, they're going to help. It's going to help you burn fat. So I say, yeah, go ahead, have as much as you like. Now, if I'm getting someone ready for a competition, if it's a bodybuilding competition, bikini competition, or maybe they're getting ready for their wedding and then we need to drop them like say 5 or 6 pounds in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I might be a little bit more, specific on, okay, I want you to have just a cup of spinach, or I might just want you to have 5 Brussels sprouts, right? But I mean, that's very meticulous. And I don't get that meticulous if I'm working with someone we're trying to get them down 2 pounds a week. And that's the average person that I work with. If they're trying to lose weight, we're trying to aim for that 2, sometimes 3, but 2-3 pounds a week. So we don't have to go crazy on count how much stalks of asparagus you're having or any of that nonsense. No, because they're fibrous carbohydrates, and fibrous carbohydrates will actually allow you to burn fat more efficiently. So don't worry about your greens, especially if you don't need to lose weight super quick or you're on a crash course to lose weight, which you shouldn't be anyway. Have as much as you like. Honestly, I've helped people for years on their plans, and I've always said, have as much greens as you like. Don't even worry about measuring them. Don't worry about weighing them. But keep in mind, I'm saying greens. I'm not talking about carrots. I'm not talking about like green peppers, red peppers. I'm talking about like broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, spinach, that type of stuff. Okay, as much as you want. Next question. Nick, who do you have in your top 6 for this year's Mr. Olympia? Okay, this year's Mr. Olympia 2022. I have to look at the entire list. I'm not following bodybuilding as much as I used to, but just thinking top of my head, in no particular order, I would put, well, I think Big Ramy is definitely going to win again for his 3rd title in 3 years. And then after that, I would probably put William Bonac in. Yeah, I do think Bonac's going to be in 2nd. He could fall as far as 4th, but those are my top 2. And then the other 4 in no particular order. I would definitely say Hadi Chopin for sure, Nick Walker, Hunter Labrada, and I think Derek Lunsford. Yeah. So those would be my top 6 right there. And I'm not good at picking where those guys would land. I guess if I had to pick a certain order, I'd say Ramy 1st, Bonac 2nd, Hadi 3rd, Nick Walker 4th, Hunter Labrada 5th, and Derek Lunsford 6th. Again, though, I haven't been following bodybuilding like I used to, so I'm probably not the best person to pick. But just based on the physiques I've seen online, I follow some of these guys on Instagram, and knowing that a lot of them have been training for a few more years than others, which the longer you train, of course, you have a stronger muscle maturity on you, right? You have better, in my opinion, your muscles just look better. And as long as you're not like past a certain age where you actually your muscles start to deteriorate and your body starts to go downwards, for most of these guys, it's that late 30s, early 40s where their body really starts to peak. So some of those guys still have enough years left in them to really peak for these shows. So yeah, I think Rami's going to win again, and I think Bonac will be a second, and I have Hadi in third. So I really think Hadi's going to be third. Nick Walker fourth, Hunter Labarda fifth, and Derek Lunsford sixth. Those are my top six. I'll probably be completely wrong, but that's who I'm picking. Okay. Hi, Nick. I read your last blog and thought it was hilarious. Have you ever had a client leave you due to being offended by one of your blogs? Not that I know of. My blogs can be quite offensive to some people. I've had people complain to me about my blogs, telling me that I'm a bit out of line with some things I write. And my response is, if you don't like it, don't read it. I've never had a client complain to me about a blog, though. It's usually someone who's following me either on Instagram or someone who belongs to our Facebook group page who will write me a little message telling me I've gone too far, or they don't appreciate things I've written about. And well, if you don't appreciate it, either write a response publicly, write your own blog. I mean, you can write whatever the hell you want, freedom of speech, say whatever you want, but it's not going to stop me from writing what I want to write. That's the thing with what I write about my blogs. And what I talked about this week was, do I have to start censoring myself again? Because my last few blogs, yeah, I've had a few messages from people giving me hate. But again, none of the people that give me hate are my clients. So it's insignificant to me. It hasn't affected my business in any sense. I think a lot of my clients get a kick out of it because they know me, they know my personality, and they know I don't take anything personally. I never take anything personally, especially when it comes to business. It's just business. So I know I let it roll. And I think I think that this is the problem is today's society, people get easily offended. Anything you say, they get easily offended. And I'm like, again, if you don't like it, don't read it, block it. Why are you reading it? But yeah, I do have some people that get mad. None have ever been clients. There's only been one client that I've ever had to fire. Actually, it was more kind of a mutual ending. And that particular person right now, and I'm not going to mention who he is, but he's in a jail cell somewhere right now. So that's all I'll say about that. He's the only person that I've ever, I think, broken up with as a client. So as far as everyone else, though, no, we've had great relationships with all my clients. I mean, people have left over the years, but nothing, it's never been on like bad terms, or there's never been animosity or anything like that. But at the end of the day, yeah, if you don't like what I'm writing, don't read it. Or write something back in response, right? Don't send me a private DM, I really don't like this, it offends me. And I'm like, okay. So when I get those messages, I barely, like, I'll respond and I'll say, I'm sorry you feel that way. But I won't get into it with the people because I don't even usually know the people. They're just randoms online who I don't even know. Or sometimes I'll ignore them completely. But during COVID, I got quite a bit of heat. Actually, that's why my last client and I actually split ways, was because we had different views on COVID, which I was completely fine with, but he didn't appreciate my views and didn't want to work with me anymore because of that. I didn't want to work with him anymore for other reasons, but it had nothing to do with his views. So in that way, it was a good mutual parting. But again, it's never happened with anybody else. I hope it doesn't happen in the future. But as far as offending my clients, I've never had a single client say to me, Nick, I'm offended by your blogs, or I'm offended by what you put on your YouTube channel or your Instagram posts, because they know me. So they know if I'm being a smart ass or not. At the end of the day, people work with me because they want to lose fat, build muscle, get in good workouts. And that's what I feel I do as a trainer and coach. I provide that service. So that's what my clients are looking for, and that's what I give them. All right. Last question. We have one more question. Oh, we do. Yeah. Nick, what do you think about the Liver King line about his steroid usage? I knew I was going to get this question, and it's funny. I had this question last week. It was one of the last questions, but I try to keep these episodes to under 35 minutes, so I didn't make time to answer it. First of all, I don't know why anyone is shocked that the Liver King was using steroids. I had a client show me who the Liver King was a few months ago and claim, oh, he claims he's natural, and giving me the whole spiel. I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, And here's my thing. I have no problem with the Liver King. I don't know the Liver King. I don't follow the Liver King. I did watch his apology video, which I thought was fucking hilarious, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching him while he's giving this apology video. You can see it, it's up on his channel right now, and he's shirtless. Guy is massive, sitting there with abs protruding out of his stomach. And talking about how he's apologizing for telling people that he wasn't on steroids when he was on steroids. I'm like, who the hell believed that he wasn't on steroids? But then I think to myself, okay, look, the average person who doesn't work out is going to be quite naive to steroid usage. And they might think, oh, so-and-so doesn't do steroids because he says he doesn't. Now, someone like myself or a lot of my friends who are bodybuilders, we're all laughing and going, of course he's on steroids because we're in the industry. So we know who's using, who's not. It's pretty obvious. Unless you're a genetic elite, even then, I mean, there's only a handful of those guys, and guys like Ronnie Coleman. I mean, Ronnie Coleman was natural, and I truly believe Ronnie Coleman was natural when he won his pro card. But he didn't win his first Mr. Olympia until he started using anabolic steroids, and he's even admitted that himself. So there are a few natural freaks out there, but very few of them are white, first of all. So yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that the Liver King was using steroids. Where I take issue with guys like the Liver King, though, is that they use their persona, they use their body to sell their crap. And as much as he was saying in his video, you know, I was a successful businessman before my physique and all this stuff. Look, whatever. Today's day, a lot of your followers are following you because they see the great physique you have. In my opinion, you have to be transparent. You don't have to go into what your steroid cycle is, but you can say, you know what? I train hard. I eat right. I eat clean. I exercise daily. I follow a clean diet. And yeah, I use anabolic steroids. Okay, fine. The ignorant people out there will go cheater. Well, he's not competing against anyone who's in a natural federation, so he's not cheating. I mean, The Rock uses steroids, right? Who's he cheating? It's just, it is what it is. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold, they use steroids. They're not cheating. They're doing it for their careers, their body image. It is what it is. But where I take issue is with guys who lie about it and then try to promote their crap, whether it's their supplements or their diet plans, and say, you can look like me if you just eat like this. I'm like, hold on a second. You can eat with me if you can look like me if you eat like this, you train like this, and you also use anabolic steroids. Now, you can say to your clients, hey, look, if you choose to go the natural route, you're not going to quite look like me, but you're going to look pretty damn decent. And that's what I always tell clients. I'm like, look, whenever I work with a new client, I always ask them, are you looking to go the natural route or the enhanced route? It's not my place to say anything. I'm just your coach, but I need to know because, as I mentioned last week on the channel, this will affect multiple things: how I diet someone, how I train someone. Should I give someone more rest days because they're natural versus someone who's enhanced, who doesn't need as many rest days? So there are factors to take in consideration when you are using anabolic steroids. But I'm not mad at the Liver King. Like, a lot of these people were hating on him because he's using steroids and he lied. I mean, well, he shouldn't have lied about it, first of all. I mean, especially in today's generation, people forget easily, and who cares? I mean, really, who cares? The thing is, though, don't claim something that you're not. So that's what I have problems with when people start, especially in this industry, because there's a lot more people out there, not just Liver King, who claim natural, and they're selling their diet plans, they're selling their training programs, and you're leaving out that little secret that they're doing. Which, if most of them just came out clean and told their clients, hey, by the way, I use anabolic steroids, a lot of people are not going to go, well, I'm not going to work with you. They might say, well, you know what? I still want to work with you because you actually do know a lot about diet. You know a lot about nutritional science. You know a lot about training. Just because someone does take steroids doesn't mean that they're not knowledgeable in other areas like dietary nutrition and training, right? So it doesn't mean don't hire them. I was natural for a long time, and I worked with a coach who was enhanced when I was natural because he was still a good coach. He still knew how to diet naturals down for bodybuilding competitions. So I still worked with him. So that's where I take problems with guys like the Liver King who just bullshit. And he's not the only one. There's tons of guys out there, and it frustrates me because, yeah, the average person doesn't know. And, you know, you don't want to sit there and call people stupid because they don't know. They're just naive, right? They don't know. This is not their industry. So you can't say, oh, that person is stupid. How did they not know Liver King was not natural? Well, I just laugh because I think it's funny that those people actually did think he's natural, but I'm not going to sit there and call them stupid. I just think they're naive. Right? So do your facts, do your research. I should say, learn your facts, do your research, learn your facts about anabolic steroid usage. Look what someone who really is natural looks like for someone who is enhanced, and you'll see the difference. There is a difference. Okay. So I have no beef with the Liver King. I never followed his shit, but if you bought stuff from the Liver King, I think he has some, I don't know, supplements or food or whatever he sells. I have no idea. Thinking that you'd look like him because you bought that stuff, yeah, I'd be a little bit pissed off too. But at the same time, you have to hold some responsibility for yourself there. If you're that person who does that, do your research and say, hold on a second. Can I really look like this if I'm eating this? And guys, no, it's not going to happen. Anyway, that's it for this week's No Filter Q&A. I believe that's it. Yeah, that was the last question. This episode will be going up on Monday evening. As a reminder, if you have any questions related to your diet, your training program, your supplement plan, please feel free to email me those questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com. You can also DM me your questions at fitcosgrove_. And as a reminder, if you have any questions with regards to my new online coaching app, you can either DM me on Instagram or you can email me your questions, and I'll set you up on an online coaching app, and you'll have me as a coach 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Not 24 hours a day, but I do get back to questions very quickly. Bi-weekly revisions, changes to your cardio plan, nutritional plan, training program. And like I said, answers to all questions I always answer questions within a 6 to 12 hour period. So, and I answer all the questions myself. I don't have a robot working for me. Not that famous yet. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week.